The city of Manila was alive with noise, cars honking, vendors calling out, footsteps rushing in every direction. In the middle of that chaos stood a boy, no older than 12, his bare feet pressed against the hot pavement. He clutched a battered guitar, its strings uneven and its wood scratched from years of use, but when he strummed it, the sound carried something far greater than music. His voice rose above the traffic, clear and soulful, weaving through the bustle of the street. At first, people walked past without noticing, but then a few began to slow. The raw emotion in his singing seemed to tug at something deep inside them. There was no microphone, no stage, just a child with a broken instrument and a voice that spoke of longing, hope, and love. The more he sang, the larger the small circle of listeners became. Shopkeepers leaned from their stalls, commuters paused mid-step, and even a taxi driver rolled down his window, forgetting the rush of his day. It wasn't the kind of voice trained in studios or polished by fame, it was honest, unguarded, and real. Despite the dust on his clothes and the weariness in his small frame, there was a purity in the boy's song that made strangers forget the noise around them. For a fleeting moment, a Manila street corner turned into something extraordinary, where hearts were softened and silence grew in the middle of chaos, all because of the voice of one poor boy. When the final note faded into the air, the boy lowered his guitar gently, almost as if it were the most precious thing he owned. He picked up a small, worn cap that lay on the ground before him. Inside were only a few coins, enough perhaps for a piece of bread, but far from what he truly needed. He looked at them quietly, his face showing no disappointment, only a quiet acceptance that this was how life had always been. The crowd slowly dispersed, returning to their routines, while the boy clutched his cap and guitar, his stomach grumbling with hunger. Yet his thoughts were not of himself. His mother lay weak at home, battling illness, and he knew she hadn't eaten properly in days. Every song he sang was not for his own dreams of comfort, but for her survival. With whatever little he earned, he would buy rice, maybe some medicine if he was lucky. His young shoulders carried the weight of responsibilities no child should bear, yet he bore them with dignity. There was no bitterness in his eyes, only determination. He sang not for applause, but because it was the only gift he had to offer the world and the only way he knew to fight against the poverty that pressed on his family. As the sun dipped lower in the Manila sky, the boy adjusted the strap of his broken guitar and prepared to sing again, because giving up was never an option. As the boy began strumming once more, a man in the crowd lingered instead of walking away. He was a traveler, a stranger in this bustling city, but something about the boy's voice had rooted him to the spot. He listened, not just to the melody, but to the emotion hidden in every word. When the song ended, instead of dropping a coin and leaving like the others, he stepped forward and knelt down so he could look the boy in the eyes. "What's your name?" the man asked softly. The boy hesitated, clutching his guitar as though afraid it might be taken from him. "Miguel," he whispered, his voice shy but steady. The man smiled warmly and asked, "Why do you sing out here?" Miguel lowered his gaze, speaking almost in a whisper. "For my mama. She's sick. I just want her to eat and get well." His words carried no complaint, only truth. There was no self-pity, no demand, just a child's pure love for the only family he had. The traveler felt his chest tighten. In all his journeys, he had seen many sights, but never something that pierced his heart so deeply. Around them, the crowd had thinned, but the connection between the man and the boy seemed to silence the noise of the city. For the first time, someone wasn't just hearing Miguel's voice, they were truly listening to his heart. And that moment would change everything. The man reached into his pocket, pulling out more money than Miguel had ever held in his life. He pressed it gently into the boy's small hands. Miguel's eyes widened, his lips parting in disbelief. "For your mama," the man said softly, but it wasn't just the money that mattered, it was the kindness, the way he looked at Miguel as though he truly mattered. Then the traveler did something no one else had thought to do. He took out his phone and asked Miguel to sing again. Nervously at first, the boy strummed his broken guitar and let his voice soar once more. This time, it wasn't just the street that heard him. It was a camera lens ready to show the world the gift hidden in this little corner of Manila. That night, the man uploaded the video online, never expecting what would follow. Within hours, it began spreading like wildfire, touching hearts across oceans. Messages poured in, people asking about Miguel, offering help, sending donations. But before any of that reached him, Miguel held the money given to him that day and hurried home with rice, bread, and medicine. When his mother saw the food, her eyes filled with tears. She reached for her son, holding him close, whispering blessings through her weak voice. Miguel didn't fully understand the miracle beginning to unfold, but he knew one thing: for the first time, someone had seen him, not as a beggar on the street, but as a boy with a voice worth hearing. Weeks passed, and the world Miguel had known began to change. The video of his song had reached millions, and support flowed in from strangers who felt touched by his voice and his story. With the kindness of people he had never met, his mother received proper medicine and food, and her strength slowly returned. Their small home, once heavy with worry, now echoed with laughter and hope. But Miguel never stopped singing. He returned to the same street corner, barefoot as always, holding the same worn-out guitar. Yet this time, his music sounded different, not because of fame or money, but because joy had replaced desperation. People gathered again, not just to hear a poor boy sing, but to witness the spirit that had inspired the world. As Miguel's voice soared into the Manila air, the crowd listened in silence, moved not only by the beauty of the song but by the story behind it. He sang for his mother, for the kindness of a stranger, and for every soul who had believed in him. In that moment, it became clear: sometimes, the most powerful voices come from the humblest places. And a single act of compassion, as simple as listening, can change not just one life, but countless others. Miguel smiled through his song, his heart full. He was no longer just a boy on the street, he was living proof that hope, when shared, could travel across the world and back again.